And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Peace Mom, Cindy Sheehan.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Can everybody hear me? I guess not. I just said, can everybody hear me? And nobody went, hello. Is this thing on? So anyway, thanks for coming out this afternoon, and thanks to Statesville We Are Change for sponsoring this. We really appreciate it. I'm here today because I have a new book out. It's called Myth America 2, 20 Greatest Myths of the Robber Class and the Case for Revolution. And I've been on this book tour now for about, let's see, I started in April, so about 6 months. And the first edition was the 10 Greatest Myths of the Robber Class and the Case for Revolution. And when I was on the tour for 4 months, I went to 40 different cities and did many, many events in those cities. And I realized that when I wrote 10 Greatest Myths of the Robber Class, that I barely scratched the surface of the subject of the myth of America and then the reality of America. And the revolution, Dr. Bowman, Bob, is going to, tell us what he would do if he was president. And I agree with every single thing that he says. There's not one thing that I disagree with in his platform or in his inaugural address, except for the fact that, we need tools. I think we're here, we all realize there's a problem in this country. We realize there's a problem in the world, many problems. But how do we have tools? We need tools. We need suggestions to help each other fix these problems instead of just complaining about the problems, as we all are so very good at doing. But how can we work together to fix them? Because in my book, 20 Greatest Myths of the Robber Class, I came to a conclusion last year. Well, I ran for Congress against Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, if I ever say Nancy Pelosi again, feel free to go. Whatever moves you, audience participation keeps you awake. I came to the conclusion that late in life, but you have to realize I've only been doing this for 5 years since my son died. So I've been on a steep learning curve, almost completely vertical, since Casey died. And I came to a conclusion that it's not in this country. There's false divisions in our class. If there's a robber class, there must be a robbed class. And I think probably pretty much everybody here belongs to the robbed class. And if you belong to the robber class, you can make a check out to Cindy Sheehan. And I guarantee you that you'll get some points in heaven. That's what robbers do, right? At the end of their life, they're like, oh, we better set up a foundation because we're really going to hell, right? They do that, and then they set up all these foundations, and they think that, their money's going to buy their way out of whatever eternal damnation they have to face. And so anyway, in the robbed class, I don't think we really got to talk too much today on the radio show about the false left-right paradigm or the false divisions that happen in this country. In the robbed class, we're so busy fighting each other over politics, over race, over gender preferences, religion. We're sitting here fighting each other, and what's happening as we're fighting each other is that we don't realize that the robber class is stealing us blind. So this is what they like to call divide and conquer. And that's what they've done throughout millennia in occupations. It's been divide and conquer. And my hypothesis in Myth America is that the robbed class in this country and all over the world, we are being occupied. by the robber class. Some people call them the ruling class elite. In other class analyses, they've been called, you know, the bourgeoisie. You know, and we're the proletariat. So last year when I was running against Nancy Pelosi, come on, when I was running against her, and Congress pushed through a bailout plan, right? That was like at the end of September, beginning of October, I believe. $750 billion went to the people on Wall Street and in the banks who actually caused the problem. You know, with their mortgage-backed derivatives, they caused a housing bubble. Not only mortgage-backed derivatives, but these easy loans that they were preying on people. And then they wanted to blame us for taking out loans when we're actually get this American dream of home ownership shoved down our throats. It's like if you're a renter, you're an American. You know, you have to own your own home. So we're going to give you these easy terms, and guess what? And the fine print says 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, your payment's going to triple or quadruple, and you're not going to be able to afford it anymore. So the people in these industries were profiting when the bubble was being inflated. And bubbles or balloons or whatever can only go so far. And what's going to happen? They're going to burst. And they don't burst on the people who are profiting when the balloon is inflating. They don't lose anything at all. So all of a sudden, these derivatives and these loans start to fail, and people like an AIG who were in the business of insuring not us against loss, but against the people who divided these mortgages into tiny, tiny pieces against loss. And when those started to fail, AIG and Goldman Sachs and Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers and all these evil robber class companies said, hey, we can't lose anything. So what did Congress do? Congress bailed them out for $750 billion. And isn't it funny that some of the companies that were in competition with Goldman Sachs were allowed to fail? But Goldman Sachs actually also got money from AIG, because AIG had insured them, I think, for $13 billion. So what's happening now? They've taken our tax money. We're still losing our homes. 1 every 7.5 seconds, a home is foreclosed or evicted on. Almost 22% of this country is out of work. People who want jobs can't find jobs, and that's the real unemployment rate. That's not the pre-Clinton way. That is the pre-Clinton way that they figure unemployment. The post-Clinton way is still 9.8%, which is horrible. It's still horrible, but when you figure the real unemployment rate is 22%, and that counts people who have fallen off unemployment rolls, people who are underemployed, and people who have given up looking for work. And they stopped counting those people during the Clinton years. So Goldman Sachs this year, and not just Goldman Sachs, but all of the companies are announcing huge bonuses for their executives. Goldman Sachs' bonus pool went up from $11 billion to $23 billion. $30 billion the banks stole from us in fees last year. Bank of America Bank of America didn't tell people this, but Bank of America put every one of their depositors on this program, that if you overdrew your account, they would pay it, or let it be paid, but charge you $35. So say you wanted to buy a cup of coffee for $5, you only had $3. Remember in the old days when they used to decline those? How super embarrassing it was? Sometimes I would go with my credit card and just go, oh, please, 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 let this go through, because it's really embarrassing when they deny it. But at least we were getting charged $35 every time they put it through. So anyway, these people who have caused the problems and who are profiting off the problems get bailed out by the government. Yet, when we need a bailout, we don't get, well, sometimes they might give us a $200 tax credit.